Hey, David McGuffin here. Welcome to Travel Talk Tuesday. Surprise, there was no intro music or anything. We're doing a little bit different on the presentation tonight, but thank you for joining us on January the 17th, 2023. This is our first Travel Talk Tuesday broadcast this year. And so for those of you who are joining me live or later on, thank you guys for continuing to tune in. This marks our third calendar year that we have been doing Travel Talk Tuesday. We started during the pandemic back in December of 2020 and have been going strong ever since. I think we've got over 90 episodes already online and recorded. So thank you guys for hanging in there and being a part of that. This past weekend, Charlotte and I were up in Chicago, or actually at Rosemont, Illinois. That's the hometown of what is that airport name? O'Hare, yeah, of O'Hare Airport. I've been working all day on a group flying into Heathrow in London, so that's what's on my mind, of O'Hare Airport. And so we had a great time up at the Donald Lee Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, and we were with the folks that present the Travel and Adventure Show, and we were there exhibiting and sharing with attendees our tours to Europe, sage travel advice and information and everything else. I had an opportunity on Saturday afternoon to get up on the destination stage and talk a little bit about David McGuffin's Exploring Europe, and also give some travel hints and everything as well to an audience that was totally packed out. There was probably a little over 100 or so people there, and was standing room only. So I had a great time doing that. And since that was so successful, I thought I would share that presentation with you to let you know a little bit more about me, what's new with travel this year, and also to share some travel hints, about 14 of them, as we go through that. So I'm going to cut to that in just a moment and begin that presentation. Let's see what I can do. Get over here. Just do this. Okay, I think we're close to being good to go. All right. So this is my presentation that I gave up at the Rosemont Convention Center, the Travel Adventure Show, this past weekend in Chicago. And this is the very first screen that pops up there. And there's a photo of me from some years back. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Europe travel updates, some pandemic and travel restrictions, if there are any. I'll give you some 14 travel tips as we go throughout the presentation. Talk to you about a few of my favorite destinations and our small group tours to Europe. But before I get there, let me tell you a little bit about me, because most people don't know me when they're at the travel show. But there I am at the travel show in my kilt, pointing to my signs that lead all the way to Europe. So this guy, David McGuffin, I live near Jacksonville, Florida. I live in Middleburg, Florida. And Charlotte and I, my wife, have been married for going almost 45 years now. I can't believe that, but we have. And so that's Charlotte and I. And we have a couple of kids that are grown and in their 40s now. But I first started traveling to Europe in 1977 when I was in college. And I was in a choir at the junior college here in Jacksonville. And the choir, every couple of years, went on a tour, international tour. And I happened to get there in the year that we were going to Israel, we were going to Palestine, we were going to Greece, and also to Italy. We spent 1 week in each of those countries. That was a 3-week tour. And I remember raising $900 for that. That was a lot of money back then, but I raised $900 for that. My parents chipped in some funds too. And off we went, took off. The first time I ever flew on an airplane, we went all the way up to New York City. I remember flying over and seeing the Statue of Liberty in the harbor of New York and thinking, oh my gosh, that's all I ever need to do. I don't need to go anywhere else. We changed up to an Alitalia jet and we flew across to Italy all night long, and I could hardly sleep. I was so excited for it. And so that was my first experience of flying and getting outside of actually the southeastern United States. This is me in Venice at the Piazza San Marco, feeding the pigeons there in 1977. I don't look much different than I did then. I'm probably I got less hair, and until last week I had more beard, but I shaved all that off. Maybe you could tell that. And so that's Piazza San Marco in Venice. And here's my choir group. It's called the Don Thompson Chorale. This gentleman here in the yellow shirt in the middle is Don Thompson, and he was the leader of the, well, we called it the Florida Junior College Chorale at the time. And that's all my friends who signed up to go on the tour, and we sang in all over the place and had so much of a great experience. I attribute that trip and my experience with Mr. Thompson and the choir as combining the loves of my life. Music, I became a music teacher. Travel, I became a travel teacher and tour operator, and everything kind of melded together, and I'm still having fun. Gosh, what, 45 years or more later, doing the same thing, helping people to travel all over Europe. Later on, I became a band director and was 30 years teaching at Ridgeview High School in Middleburg, Florida. I, one year in 2005, took my band across the sea and we landed in Dublin, and we participated in the Dublin St. Paddy's Day Parade there in 2005. And that's my band, Ridgeview High School Marching Panther Band from Orange Park, Florida. We had a blast doing that. And even to this day, we continue to take groups across to Ireland, marching bands, especially to be a part of the St. Paddy's Day Parade in Dublin. As a matter of fact, we have a group from Spruce Creek High School going to Dublin in this coming March 17th. This is me on my very first tour once we incorporated David McGuffin's Exploring Europe. This was in 2001, in March of 2001, and I'm standing there on the bus with the microphone in hand saying, hey folks, thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here. Now, I want to show you and take you on an adventure. Your adventure starts right here. And we took off and we did London and what I call the countryside tour. It couldn't have been a worse time to go, because it was the time of the foot and mouth disease and also the mad cow disease. So that meant we tried to go to Stonehenge, but the rules in England said that we could not get out of the bus and walk on any land where livestock were around. So we looked at Stonehenge from the bus windows. We showed up in the city of Bath, and there's a famous Roman bath there, and it began snowing. And I remember going down into the baths. It's about maybe 30 feet, 20 feet below the street level nowadays. And there was the Roman baths, or they're warm water. And I remember that steam coming off there so much that we could not even see each other across the pool. And it was snowing outside. All in all, it all worked out great. And I figured that, gosh, if I could go in March 2001, if I could take a tour to make it work during hoof and mouth disease and mad cow disease and snowing in England, that I could make a tour work anywhere. So we just kept on going from there. So my goals and desires are to talk to you a little bit about European travel information and advice. We have a weekly Travel Talk Tuesday broadcast, which we're doing right now. We take small group guided tours all over Europe. We arrange private and custom tours, for example, bands going to St. Patrick's Day Parade. And I do families that want to get together and travel together. We could do that as well. And then just music and foreign language tours and art history tours and everything else. This is my new mission statement that we've just kind of reorganized here, and it's to encourage Americans to broaden their cultural mindset through engaging and exciting travel experience in Europe. Our tours are for small groups of up to 18 people, and we include daily activities, sightseeing, yet allow time to appreciate the locale on their own. I figure about 45% of the time on our tours, we give an opportunity for those who want to get out on their own, maybe have dinner on their own, explore something on their own in the afternoon or whatever. The group on the left-hand side is a group of mine that we were at the Guinness Storehouse in Dublin earlier this year, or earlier last year, I should say. And the group here on the bottom right is a group that are family and friends that were in the Chianti region of Tuscany. We have, you can see here our hotels. I'll talk a little bit about our hotels and our destinations and everything. And we just have a great time showing people around. This is Paola here on the left-hand side. She is a tour guide friend of mine who lives in Florence, Italy, and she's showing these folks around the Accademia Museum here in Florence, Italy. And then this is a group in, we are somewhere in Scotland or Ireland, a group of friends in Scotland and Ireland as we're touring that country. All of that happened this past year as well. We strive to provide a stress-free, informative, and exciting travel experience overall, aiming to empower our guests with knowledge, guidance, and confidence to embrace the adventure, seize the moment, and most of all, have fun. This is a cooking class that we have on our villa tour in Tuscany. And these are some guys up in Scotland, the Highlands, Scotland, on Loch Ness, visiting one of the many castles in the area. I've got a bunch of travel tips to give you. And the first one is travel tip number 1, and that is check your passport. Make sure it is signed, and also make sure that the expiration date is 6 months or more beyond the time that you return from your trip. So if you were to return from your trip today on the 17th of January, your passport's got to be valid at least to, what would that be? June 17th, at least to June 17th of this year. Otherwise, you can't even leave the country. So the very important thing, check it, your passport, and check your expiration date. Number 2, you want to check also, even now, to see what countries are open and what restrictions or requirements there are for you to get into the country. I still, every time, I fly Delta Airlines a lot. So I go to Delta Airlines when I book a flight, and I check the page that says, hey, check here before you book your ticket to see if you're allowed to get into the country. And since the pandemic a few years ago, I do that all the time, even though I know that everything in Europe is wide open. Travel tip number 3 is, if you have been vaccinated, take your COVID card with you. I haven't had to show it at all in the past 18 months, but previous to that, I had to break it out and show it a lot. So make sure you bring that with you, and bring a copy or 2 as well. Even though this looks amateurish compared to most other digital or laminated vaccination cards that people have in Europe, it still works. You can pull it out and show it. And those who live in Europe are accustomed to seeing our rinky-dink CDC paper CDC cards. I had my pharmacist, I know at the pharmacist, my local public store, she took it and kind of made it look a little bit better because I'd gotten so many updates. And so possibly that's a possibility to do now as well. Travel tip number 4. Masks are not required on any flights in the United States and originating in the United States. However, they are required on some flights. For example, I flew from Spain up to Paris, and we had to wear a mask on that flight. And we had to wear a mask on some public transportation in, gosh, I think France and maybe Ireland as well. It was required. So always bring a mask with you, even though most of the time you're not going to be required to wear that. So Europe is wide open. As you can see, all of those countries are wide open. No restrictions as far as getting in for United States citizens, no vaccination requirement needed, and no testing needed to arrive in those countries, nor is there any testing needing for U.S. citizens to return home from those countries back to the United States. My best tip I picked up over the COVID pandemic times. We started traveling again in June, I think, of 2021. And I showed up in Greece, a country which I had always said, they don't take credit cards there. They don't take anything. You better make sure you have cash unless you're going in to spend a whole lot of money on souvenirs and everything. And so what happened was I showed up there and nobody wanted cash because of the pandemic. They didn't want to mess up their hands or anything. So what they did is they used contactless payments. And so you could get your credit card out and swipe it, which is very unusual to do in anywhere in Europe, or you could insert it with the trip with your chip in there, which is a little more common, but no one uses it. But if you have the card that has a little insignia like you see here, that's kind of like a fan shape, if you have that card, then you just tap it to their payment device and off you go, and it rings up and you're good to go. And so it's called contactless payments. Or if you use it, you can use your phone the same way. It's called Apple Pay or Google Pay. And if you link your credit cards to your phone, you just take your phone and tap it there to the machine as well. And most importantly, I found that you can use, if you have a smart watch, you can link it on the smart watch and tap it to the device as well. And so I have not had to use cash very much at all for the past 18 months. And I have just had a blast getting to do it. Now, some may say that it is not as safe or very safe, because if you've got that there, anybody can scan it with one of those RFID readers or anything else. Well, with your watch, you have to initiate it, and then it's only there until you put it up to the device, and then the watch kicks out and it goes away. The cards are a little more vulnerable because they're always active. So I would put that in one of those little shields that protects that signal from coming through. And your phone is only active when you activate it on your phone. So those are, the phone and the watch are the safest methods that I can recommend. Now, that means there's no cash. You don't have to use cash. You don't even have to use a debit card or a credit card if you don't want to. This little device here, we see them at home, maybe here in the United States. In the country, they call it the machine, or like in Italy, it's the macchina. But this machine, well, you're sitting at the table having dinner, and let's say there's four of you, two couples at the table. You, at the end of the meal, you ask your waiter to bring the machine. And the waiter comes over with the machine, and you say, okay, I had this for 35 euro and this for 35 euro. My total bill is 70, plus I'm going to add another 5 euro for the tip on there. So 75. You tell the guy, put 75 on. He keys in 75 on the machine, holds it up. You tap your card or your watch or your phone, and then you go, and the next couple says, okay, mine was only 60. I didn't drink as much wine as David did. So mine's only 60 euro, and I pay mine 60, okay? And so it's a great way to divide up the bill too, and everybody in every country knows how to do that, because once again, Europe has always been ahead of us on everything, texting and everything else. So they're way ahead of the curve. Now I come home in Florida, and I try to find somewhere to tap my watch. I could do it at Costco yesterday, but you certainly can't do it in Bono's Barbecue or any other restaurant around here, because they don't have a machine to bring to you. Okay, my pet peeve here for being in the United States. Hey, let me talk to you a little bit about why I think my tours surpass many of the others that are presented out there. And I know probably if you're watching me tonight, you've traveled with me a lot, so you can chip in and say here as well. But let me tell you about the first thing is that I plan and design all the tours that I offer. Let me take a sip of water. I plan and design all the tours I offer. I labor over them and then also fine tune them. There's been a few tours this year that we have changed and switched around because we thought we could do it a little bit different than the years before and make it more economical for time and for money. So I plan and design all these tours. We take the stress out of travel and the worry out of travel because we do all the work and you hop on and have all the fun. This is a group of friends in the Cinque Terre in the town of Monterosso with Signore Chuck there in the middle. He's the chef there. And we had dinner at his restaurant and stayed there a long time, and he got tired of waiting on everybody and was heading home. And we saw him on the sidewalk, and everybody gathered around to thank him for the dinner he had prepared for us. Some people may say that it's cheaper to travel as the individual as opposed to traveling in the group, and I disagree wholeheartedly with it. When you add up the time you invest in planning your trip, in the headaches of driving maybe, in planning the hotels, the tour guides, the transfers, the trains, the admissions and everything, you end up maybe saving 10 to 15%. But just think of all the headaches you have, unless you're one like me who just loves to beat themselves up and plan their own trip. But we do it for you, so hop on for the ride. We take the stress out of it and enjoy it. We give more bang for your bucks and value for your dollar simply because we plan it all ahead of time. We get discounts on hotels and transportation and everything else. We eat very well on the tours that I go on. I spend probably at least 1/3 to 1/2 more than most tour groups do on dining. That's because I like to eat well on my tours. And I'm not going to sit down at the table and have a mediocre meal with everybody because it's worth it to experience the cuisine of the destination that you are in. We have myself and several other tour guides that are from the United States and tour guides from all over Europe that lead our tours. This is Ilaria. They're here, the young lady on the front of the bus with the red hair. She's from Rome, and she leads some tours in Italy, and everybody just raves about her. But they have a passion for traveling and showing people around and having fun. We have small groups, and like I said earlier, we have plenty of free time to get out and do some exploring on your own. We have various accommodations from 4-star hotels and city centers to places out in the countryside like this place that we arrived in the middle of March one spring, and my friend Herman owns this guest house in Reutte, Austria, near Neuschwanstein Castle. We showed up and snow had fallen the night while we were there, and we woke up to a white March morning. We do require a little walking and activity while you're on my tours, and so you'll have a chance to get and walk 3, 4, 5 miles a day. And this is a photo that I snapped that I don't recommend anyone doing, but it's in the west coast of Ireland at the Cliffs of Moher. And I had walked out on this path as well, staying 10 to 12 feet back, and hiked about a mile or two to the north up those cliffs. And I looked back and saw all these people just sitting on the edge and thought, my, aren't they crazy? You would not catch me there. And believe me or not, there are a lot of people in this sole predicament that get blown off because of the wind or the side cracking off or whatever. So stay behind the barriers, heed my warning, but enjoy the scenery. You're going to do a little bit of walking. Our tours are all inclusive. That means that we won't nickel and dime you to death on optional tours and everything else. The price you see is the price you pay, and we tell you what's included from the very outset. Travel tip number 6 is use that smartphone to take photos of anything that you think you want to remember. I use it very often in museums to take a photo of the artwork on the wall. And then looking down, there's usually a little placard down there, and I take a picture of that. And that kind of helps remind me and jog me of what I did that day. I love taking photos of meals that we have, so I can go back and write in my journal and remember what I had. And so use that phone to your advantage, not just to take photos of landscape and people, but things to jog your memory when you return back home and want to put that photo album together or that journal together. Travel tip number 7 is make sure that you purchase comprehensive travel insurance. It is very important. The older you get, to buy that insurance. It's going to cost you about 15 to 20% of the price of the tour, but it gives you peace of mind as you're traveling. Comprehensive insurance nowadays covers COVID problems. It also covers sicknesses and illnesses that occur before the trip. And heaven forbid something happens, that someone passes away that's a family or friend member, then that's also covered in the insurance. And then it also kicks in when you're traveling as well for flight delays, baggage loss, getting sick on tour delays while you're there, and everything else. So look into purchasing comprehensive travel insurance as soon as you know you're going to travel. That means as soon as you put down your deposit for a tour. Gosh, we had a big year last year in 2022, a banner year for exploring Europe. We had 30 different tours visiting 12 different countries. And our top destination, once I came home and added it all up, was Ireland with the most amount of people and most amount of tours going there. And then second was Italy with the most amount of people and most amount of tours visiting Italy. That's the Colosseum in Rome, going back here. This is, I don't very often find a place that I've never been, but we happened upon this ancient monastic site in County Galway just in November, a couple of months ago, as we were making our way in a different way from Dublin to the Cliffs of Moher. I'd tell you the name of it, but I forgot. So I'll have to get to that one day. But ancient monastic sites like this are all over the island of Ireland. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Of course, you know, that's the Colosseum in Rome, built in 70 AD. So I want to tell you about a couple of little tours that we're doing, and I want to promote tonight. We're doing a villa vacation, and not coming up pretty quickly, April 23rd through May 2nd, 2023. If you would like to go and spend 7 nights in this villa in Tuscany and do day trips, we're in this little village called Volterra. Look at it. It is beautiful, a hill town, an Etruscan hill town. Tonight only, if anybody's watching me and you really want to go, get online at davidmcguffin.com, sign up, and we'll give you $100 off that tour for tonight. Just think about that, and I'll repeat it again tomorrow as we finish the show tonight. In that villa cooking, we have a cooking tour and a cooking class where you prepare a 5 or 6 course meal with the chefs there, Claudia and Ivana, and you prepare it, and then they cook it, and we sit down and enjoy it. And so the cooking experience, the class itself is about 2.5 hours, and then we sit down, relax for a little bit, and enjoy it for another 2.5 hours if you want to, because we're out in the countryside of Tuscany. In that tour, also that villa tour, during the 7 days that we're spending at the villa in near Volterra, we do day trips to Siena, which is up on the upper right left-hand corner, and also to Pisa and Lucca. You can see the Leaning Tower of Pisa there. And we begin that tour on day 1 in Florence, 7 days in the villa, and then we end it on day 9 in Florence. So 2 times in Florence, bookending the villa tour for 7 nights. We're also doing, even sooner than that, April 6th to 14th, the Amalfi Island tour. And that goes all the way down to the Bay of Naples, visits 2 islands there of Procida and Ischia and Capri, 3 islands there, I should say. And then we go to the mainland, we visit, we stay in Sorrento and visit the Amalfi Coast and Pompeii for 3 nights as well. That's April 6th to 14th in 9 days. You can see the map there that I've just shown you. We begin in Rome at the airport, and we end at Rome on the last night, and we spend the last night in Rome. This is a view from our hotel on the island of Ischia near the town of Forio. You're looking at down there. This is the island of Procida, and the island of Procida is a small little island that you can get around and see in about 2 hours, but it is one of the most beautiful ones in island off the coast of Italy. And this is looking from our hotel across the town of Sorrento to the Bay of Naples with the mountain Vesuvius there in the background. We also spend about 3 hours or so at the ancient ruins of Pompeii, where in, let's see, 69 or 70 AD, the Mount Vesuvius, which you also see in the background, blew its top and showered ash all down on this village of Pompeii and covered it up to about 12 feet. Hence, everything remained totally intact as it was that day when the volcano erupted. It has since been excavated, and it's just fascinating to walk through with a local guide, of course, to experience that. This is the village of Positano, and it's on the Amalfi Coast, and you can see the Amalfi Coast is kind of like very similar to the Cinque Terre, with mountains in the background tumbling down into the sea and little villages speckling all and dotting all the hillsides. Travel tip number whatever. What was that? Number 8. Watch Travel Talk Tuesday every Tuesday night that I'm in town, 7:30 Eastern time. We have a great time, and believe it or not, I don't talk this much on most Travel Talk Tuesdays. We prepare a video of our destinations, and then we talk about it and have fun reminiscing of our travels there. That's Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern time, most Tuesdays when I'm in town. This is, let's see if this will play, a little excerpt of the Travel Talk Tuesday show. That'll give me a chance to get a sip. Hey, David McGuffin here. Welcome to Travel Talk Tuesday. We are February the 8th, 2022. And tonight's topic is romantic destinations in Europe. And I chose that theme because by the time you see me again next Tuesday night, we will have experienced St. Valentine's Day. And hopefully you may have had a romantic or experience with your friend or loved one next Monday night on Valentine's Day. But gosh, it is destinations all. Okay, you don't need to see any more of that because you're really watching the live Travel Talk Tuesday. That was one we shot back about a year ago when Charlotte and I were traveling in Poland, and we actually took our very first horse-drawn sleigh ride. Archives there at davidmcguffin.com. You can go back and look at that. The second most popular, or the first most popular destination that we had was in Ireland, and we're doing a Taste of Ireland tour coming up really soon, the 3rd of May. And we're offering a tonight only special. If you're interested in going to Ireland, a Taste of Ireland tour, $200 off of it. If you book it tonight, just go ahead and book it online at davidmcguffin.com, and then you can just let us know, hey, you were watching Travel Talk Tuesday last night, and we'll take the $200 off. That tour is one of those modifications that I've just made this year, and because I wanted to make the our time more efficient. So we begin in Dublin for 2 days. We spend a night in Kilkenny. We visit Blarney Castle, and then 2 nights down in the very southwest coast of the Dingle Peninsula. Go up, visit the Cliffs of Moher, and then we're in Galway for 2 nights. And we go off the coast of Galway to the Aran Islands, the Aran Island of Inishmore as well. And the tour ends there in Galway. So 8 nights or 8 days, 7 nights around the island. It's a great tour. We have people love it and enjoy it all the time. So if you're interested in doing that, let us know. We'd love to have you join us on that departure. And we've got about, I think about at least 3 other departures this year for that tour as well. Here I am on that tour at the Guinness Storehouse in Dublin, Ireland. And this is the village, the little monastic site of Glendalough. You see another one of those round towers that the monks built back in the 7th century. And this is Blarney Castle in the springtime, where purportedly, if you go up and kiss this stone at the top of the castle, you'll have the gift of gab, which I feel like I have tonight because I'm talking nonstop, 90 to nothing. So, and believe it or not, I've never kissed the Blarney Stone. So there you go. Also, then you go to the Dingle Peninsula, and this is you get to see all the sheep you ever want to count, and you can even pick them up and pet them if you want to. And then here we go at the Cliffs of Moher. Look at this video I caught. I don't know if you can see it on your screen or not, but do you see the rainbow out there in the water? That just was amazing. First time I've ever seen it like that. And so I had to snap a shot of that. Here we are in Galway with Galway Cathedral in the background. And of course, I told you we go to the island of Inishmore as well. Travel tip number 9 is pack light. We like you to bring a suitcase about that size. These are my friends, Roberta and Jim, and they have traveled with us on 2 different tours. And they're my all-time winner of the smallest packing ever. Roberta and Jim. Jim has a backpack on. Roberta has her purse, and they put all the rest of their clothes in that one zebra-striped suitcase. And they had a blast traveling through the Best of Italy tour some years back. And you can see they're happy campers there in Venice as we're heading on to Lake Como. Don't do like these ladies do. They had a great time too, but they were not appreciating dragging these big suitcases across the bridges in Venice. You can see they're smiling, but they're smiling because they were at the end of their tour, and I was making fun of them because they got to walk across 2 of those bridges to get back to the train station. And so don't pack like that. Try to pack like Jim and Roberta. Travel tip number 10, wear a money belt, tuck it under your clothes so that no one can get it, and put your passport, your credit cards, and all your extra cash that nowadays you don't really need in that thing, and you will feel safe and protected your entire trip. Don't wear it like this lady in the Louvre Museum, because that's going to be really easy to steal. Travel tip number 11. You need to let your bank know that you're going to be traveling outside of the destination that you live, and kind of tell them where you're going. So give them a call a week or 2 before you travel. Let them know that you're going to be using your credit card and debit card outside of your zone, and you'll have no problems. You never want to get there and not have your credit cards working, because gosh, we've had people show up on a Sunday in Europe and your bank's closed on Sunday, so you can't do anything. And so make sure that you let those banks know that you are traveling. Travel tip number 12 is travel at slower times of the year. The top left, you see the Vatican Museum in the height of the summer, packed out, packed out, packed out. And it will be this way, I can tell you, this year too, because the Vatican has already advised all of us as tour guides that they're cutting back on the amount of people, raising the price, but it's still going to be just as packed as it has been in previous years. Down on the bottom is the line around the walls of Vatican City, and those people are waiting to get into the Vatican Museum at about 10 o'clock in the morning. So you want to avoid that. Travel either very early in the morning or late in the afternoon to visit those sites. Here is the Accademia Museum with Michelangelo's David in Florence. It's actually not that very crowded, but that was pretty crowded because they do try to regulate who goes in. And this was in 2018 or 19. And if you can hear this, listen to this. I gotta do this recording because there is no one here. Not a soul is in here except the guards. Fantastic. That was in 2021 at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon in probably June or July. And I was there and not a single person was there. We had to wear masks at the time. And I think I was saying something to the fact that I'm here all by myself, not a soul here except for the guards. Well, I've been traveling to Florence since 1977 and never experienced that, and probably will never experience that again the rest of my life. But that was a once in a lifetime opportunity that I will never forget. Travel early or late, make those booking reservations early or late. And we do that for you when you are traveling with us. Travel tip number 13, go off season. Top left, Christmas markets abound all over Europe during the late part of November and early part of December. And they are wonderful. You don't see a whole lot of tourists, but you see a lot of locals. So it may be a bit crowded, but it's crowded with those people who know what to do or getting out and enjoying it because it's part of their lifestyle. The bottom right-hand photo is the Alhambra in Granada, Spain. And it is typically crowded as well, but this was early on actually, I think it was in the first part of April. The flowers are beautiful then. In the summer, they're dead because it's so hot there, but it was beautiful. And you can see there wasn't many people there at all at these water gardens. So travel off season to make the best of your travel experience. Travel tip number 14 is the last travel tip I do have, and that's hire a local guide for a private tour. We do that all the time. This is my friend Jackie in London, and she takes my groups, and we meet at a subway station kind of near Westminster Abbey, and she takes my groups for the whole day, going to the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, doing some back streets through London, and going to the Tower of London, and seeing the crown jewels as well. We have local guys that we connect with, and I've known for years and years and years all over Europe. And it's important for that to be a part of your experience, not just because of the knowledge they have on the destinations that you're taking you to, but also because of the knowledge they have to answer questions like, wow, what does it cost to rent a flat here? Or what about the tax system here? Or what do you think about the new king? Those kind of things, so that you're not going to get an answer from unless they're a local. And believe me, my friends answer those questions all the time. Travel tip number 14, just go. I saw a quote earlier today. I can't do it verbatim, but it's something to the effect that, we're not getting any younger, and you can travel now, but one day there may be no tomorrow to travel to. Well, actually, one day there will be no tomorrow for all of us to get out and travel. So do it while you can. We have 22 tour routes visiting 12 countries all over Europe. Those are the ones highlighted there in orange. And I want to remind you of those two specials I talked about, the Amalfi Coast, the Villa. There was 3 of them: the Amalfi Coast, the Villa, and the Taste of Ireland tour. So think about that. Very last thing is we have a brand new catalog out. If you want it, send me an email and I'll mail you a hard copy of it. It's also available online. And finally, I'm very excited to tell you that we have a brand new website at davidmcguffin.com. We'd love to have you look at it, give me your feedback. I'm sure there's some glitches. I spent, about at least 3 weeks, 8 hours a day, kind of working on that and getting it up and going again. And so take a look at it. I'd appreciate to get some comments on it. And down at the very bottom in the footer, there's a place to write a tour review. And if you've been on a tour with me and have not written a review, please do so. That makes a big difference. All you have to do is put your first name in and write a little bit about your experience. You don't have to leave an email address. You don't have to do anything. We won't share anything but whatever name you put in there. So if your name is John and you want to put in Joe, that's fine too. I don't care. Just give an honest opinion of the trip you took with me. That's on the bottom footer of our new davidmcguffin.com. Okay, I'm coming back full screen because I think that's the end. And I can tell you what, I feel like I've talked 90 to nothing, but I hope I got everything out. If anybody counted all the uhs I said or the ums, that's a pretty good problem too. So thank you guys for sharing. Next week we're going to be here and I'm going to talk to you about Barcelona, Spain, and Antonio Gaudi and his famous church that's still under construction called La Sagrada Familia. So until next week, thanks for viewing. Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.